My name is Peter McIntyre and I'm a Senior Associate with Carlson Management Consulting. I'm going to demonstrate an integration using Datablend, which acts as the intermediary between multiple systems, with the ability to connect using the credentials you normally use to log into each system itself. In this demo, I'm going to show how quickly you can make a connection from QuickBooks Online to adaptive planning. We're going to start by creating a credential which allows me to log into a source system, in this case QuickBooks. From the menu icon in the top left, I'm going to navigate to Administration, and then Credentials, and then New, to create a new credential. And the first thing I need to do here is enter a new name for my credential, which I'm going to call QuickBooks Demo. The second step is to choose type, which I'm going to choose as a QuickBooks Online credential. From here I click Save and Continue. Next, I'm prompted to enter my QuickBooks Online user ID and password, which I will do here. Next, I click Sign In. And the next screen will come up asking if I want to authorize Intuit to securely share my data with Datablend Productivity Suite. And I say yes, I do want to authorize. This will bring me back to Datablend where I have my credentials set up. So all I need to do now is click Save to save my QuickBooks Demo credential. And just like that, I have successfully created a connection from QuickBooks to Datablend. Next, I'm going to create a sample data source, in this case the profit and loss report, which we pulled directly from QuickBooks. So from my menu, I'll navigate to Integration, Data Sources, New Data Source. We're then prompted to this screen. The first thing I need to do is enter a name for this new data source, which I will call QuickBooks P&L. Next, I need to select my credential for the one I just set up, and I will choose QuickBooks Demo. I'm then prompted with a type, and in this case I just want to select QuickBooks Online Query. And then the last selection is a request. And then we want to pull a specific report, so I will choose Reports, and then I click Save. I am then brought to this screen where I can choose the specific report I want. And I want to select Profit and Loss Detail. And then in my last selection, under Aggregate, I want to select By Month. And then I click Save. And once I save, I can navigate back to Manage Data Sources. From here, I find the data source I just created, and I click on it. This brings me to this next screen where I can choose the month and the year that I want to import my data for. In this example, I'm going to choose May of 2016 through June of 2016, and then I'll hit Save. Now for this particular import, I also want to import transactional data. So to do that, I'm going to create another data source similar to what we just did. I navigate using my menu to create a new one, and I'll call this Transactions from QuickBooks. Next, I select my credential I initially set up, the QuickBooks Demo, and then I choose QuickBooks Online Query, and I'm going to call a specific report, and then I'm going to save. Now the report I want to pull in order to get transactions is going to be Profit and Loss Detail line item, which I'll choose. And again, I want to aggregate by month, and then I will save. And once again, I'm going to go back to Manage Data Sources, where I can see the new data source that I just created. And I click on that, and I'm going to choose the same dates as I chose before, May of 2016 through June of 2016. What I need to do next is create a transformation that takes my QuickBooks report and turns it into an adaptive import template. To do that, I'll navigate to the menu, Integration, and under Transformations I'm going to select New. And I'm just going to name this Transactions Transformation. And there's 3 different types of transformations to choose from: field mapping, filter, and pivot table. In this case, we're going to be doing a field mapping. And once I select it, I will click Save and Continue. And now from this screen, I need to select the source file and a destination file. The destination is going to be the adaptive import template I need to translate the data into, and my source is going to be my report that I just pulled from QuickBooks. I'm going to select my source, which is this Transactions from QuickBooks data source that I created, and my destination is going to be a transaction template directly from Adaptive. What I'm going to do now is add a few rows, and I'm going to select the destination columns first, since these need to be in a particular order. So first I will choose Organization, and then Account, and then Transaction Type. And then I'll add a few more rows, and I will choose Post Date, Amount, Voucher, then I'll add one more row, and I'll add Description. And now I just need to match my QuickBooks report columns to the adaptive columns. So for the first one, class is going to match organization. Account number is going to match the account. Transaction type to transaction type. Date to post date. Amount to amount. Name to voucher. And then memo maps to description. And now I'm going to save. So now that I have all my data sources set up, my last step is to create a workflow. The workflow is going to run all the processes that it takes to pull the QuickBooks data in, transform it into an adaptive template, and then import it into Adaptive. So from my menu, under Integration, I'll navigate to Workflow, New. And then I'm just going to call this workflow Adaptive Import. And then I'll click Save and Continue. This brings me to the screen that we can see here. And what I need to do is pick from my data sources and transformations in the order that I want everything to happen. So the first thing I'm going to do is choose my standard import, which is the first data source I created from QuickBooks. So then I find it and I will add it to this workflow. Now there are a couple pre-set up scripts that will convert this report from QuickBooks into an adaptive template. The first being QuickBooks Online Remove Non-Numbers, which I will find and then add, and the next is QuickBooks Online Adaptive Import Format, which I will add as well. The next step is to choose the Adaptive Demo Standard Import, so that is going to do the actual import into Adaptive. Now we also have set up a file out that we can add, and what this will do is allow us to see an Excel output file of the template that we're actually importing into Adaptive. So these first 5 steps will do a standard load into Adaptive. Now I want to add the transactional import as well. So first I'm going to select my transactions from QuickBooks data source that I set up. and I will add that to the workflow, and then I will add my transactions transformation that I created and add that one as well. And then I have an adaptive transactions import, which is a separate type of import into adaptive. And then I'm going to do one more file out so I can see the file at the end, and I'm going to save this. Now, before I execute this workflow, I just want to take a look at what I have going on in both QuickBooks and Adaptive. So first I'll navigate over to my QuickBooks, and I have a report open for May of 2016 that gives me a standard profit and loss. And so these are the numbers that should be pulling into Adaptive once I run this workflow. And then if I jump over to Adaptive, I can see I don't have any data in May or June of 2016, which are the months that I'm going to be importing for. So if I go back to Datablend and look at my filled out workflow, all I need to do is click execute. And once I execute, it brings me to a log screen. And this is going to show me the processes as they go through the workflow. And I can see the first one, my user job was sent to the queue. And now I can refresh this to update where I am within the workflow, and it looks like it has completed, as I can see in the log, and it looks like the import was successful. So now if I navigate back to Adaptive and I refresh my P&L, I now can see that I have data in May and June of 2016. And now since I loaded transaction as well, I can even drill down into some of these numbers. And it will open a new window where I see the drill into transactions link that I can click. And this will show me what makes up the $500,000. So it looks like both imports were successful. And now that I have this workflow set up, I can run it as often as I want, and I have the flexibility to choose which months I want to pull into the system. And I can even set this up to be on a schedule and receive an email notification when it's completed. I hope you found this video to be helpful in just how easy it is to use Datablend.